So I haven't met her. The whole thing is through phone calls. Earlier, our counseling used to have, quite a bit of face-to-face conversation. We can see the body language of the person. As we all know, communication, only 7% is through words. Somewhere around 30 plus percentage is all, 38% or something is all tone and modulation, and it's all to do with the voice part of it. And 55% is all what you call the body language. That 55% is totally cut off. The rest of it is all only available with that. So one has to relate to that person. The whole thing is counseling is basically setting up a relationship between the counselor and the counselee. They have some problem, they trust us, and they want to share something so secretive in them. They want to share with us. So we should be, first of all, so we should be able to provide an environment of trust actually. So how do we do it? Everything is through our communication only, the way we present ourselves. It's all, that's all there is to it. With especially only phone counseling in the last few months that I have been doing, the visual part is taken away. So everything has to be through listening and empathy, completely through listening and empathy. So they have a problem. So the kind of problems could be anything. I mean, somebody may be a businessman, somebody may be a student, somebody may be a housewife, all kinds of problems come. So when they go about relating it, so we should be able to listen to them, not selectively, not just selective listening. We have to listen to it attentively and completely. So when it comes to that, first of all, we have to empty ourselves. The minute we get into a conversation, we immediately, just by the sound of it, we would be able to decide, okay, this person must be an older person. This must be this kind of age. Okay, she may be from the accent. We decide, yeah, this must be from this region of India. All kinds of things would be immediately forming into our mind. We have to just park them all aside, because all these things are some kind of biases. The only way we can get into a beautiful counseling relationship is to start with an empty mindset, completely empty. And the other thing, most important thing, is an unconditional positive regard for that person, whatever the problems they may have, which may be, we may have a shock by listening to some of their revelations and all, but we should not be disturbed by any of those things. So unconditional positive regard, and we have to completely listen. This is the most important thing. When it comes to listening, active listening is an important thing, that we need to make them understand that we are going along with them, that we are able to get every single thing that they are saying. So we should follow that with some paraphrasing and prompting. Yeah, from whatever you are saying, you seem to be going through a tough phase in life. And you just, whatever they say, we just paraphrase a little short in short form and then say, could you tell something more about it? Could you share something more? So we have to keep prompting them so that the whole story comes in front of us so that we get an idea. In this process of, making this whole issue come to light, they also get an insight. When they have to explain to someone else, they go about explaining, they get clarity in their own mind also. That's also one biggest advantage. So listening attentively and completely automatically leads to what we call as empathy. Empathy is actually shown in our own language and tone and all that. Automatically it kind of comes out, the way we relate to them, the way we are able to say things. Most important thing in our conversation in these things is, when we have a in-person conversation, our body language, the setting, the way we look at them, eye to eye contact, and then the way we relate to their feelings and all. The most important thing in empathy is trying to get into their world, understand their feelings, whatever they are feeling, to get a fair understanding of it, and then come back and be ourselves. Because we have to be ourselves, then only we can be of help. If ever we also just lose ourselves, that becomes sympathy and we get lost. We will not be able to be of service. So empathy is a very important thing in counseling relationship. Empathy is a respectful understanding of what the other is experiencing. That is, we try to go into their world through just the listening, just the process of listening attentively. We go into their world, we understand what they are experiencing, and then we come back. When we provide this, they see that there is a person who is offering their time and understanding. There is someone who is understanding. One of the most important things that human beings want is someone to understand. Many a time we have found, in conversation, hey, first listen. This is a very common thing that we all post, because most often we don't listen. We don't listen because we always want to download what we have in us, because that's what we want to just dump it on others, whereas we are not ready to receive. This is a great, this one art of listening is something that we will be able to bring about fantastic relationship. Art of listening is something, it's so innate in us actually. Okay, this is how empathy is something that we can go on. No, we are all basically empathic, because they say we have mirror neurons in our brains. So whenever we see something, automatically we have that daya, the compassion in us, automatically it rises. In fact, Vilayanur Ramachandran, one of the neurologists, he just calls it as Gandhi neurons. So because it has that kind of compassion, automatically we have that. The empathy is something so innate in us actually. That's why when we go to movies and all, when there is a very sad situation, and one of the either the hero or the heroine cries, many people tend to cry also, because this is innate in us. We just feel like the other person. That's something. So this is how we are. So it's not very difficult. Only thing is, we have to be open. We have to drop all our notions. We should, this is a very difficult thing, is to be non-judgmental. Non-judgmental, the conditioning, if ever we can put them all aside and be open and listen, empathy starts coming into being. That automatically brings in compassion and all that. The beauty is, when we provide the setting, that is unconditional positive regard, listening, empathy, and this person who is counseling is a congruent person. What do you mean by congruence? Congruence is what I think, what I speak, and what I do in my life has to be in alignment. When we have that kind of a personality, we will not be pretentious. We will not be saying something which is, improbable or something. We will be very natural and be very authentic. This authenticity in the personality definitely helps. And listening and empathy brings about a beautiful possibility of their own getting clarity about their own problem, and we can get to the next stage of trying to solve the problem jointly, because no problem can be solved by someone else. They have to solve their problem on their own. However, the other person provides a means to explore possibilities. I may be just suggesting, did you try that? Have you ever attempted some such thing? These are all suggested as at some point in time, not immediately.